Hello everyone, hope you didn't skip your book due date, because if you live in Tibet in the nation of Onset, you will most certainly be dead by the witch of the Purple Rose herself, the lecturer librarian Lisa. Now let's begin talking about Lisa. All information comes from the Genshin Impact Wiki fandom. Lisa Mincy is a playable electro character in Genshin Impact. Once a Grand Mage recognized at the Sumeru Academia's most distinguished graduate in 200 years, Lisa has since returned to Mondstadt to become the humble librarian of the Knights of Eronius. Her full name is Lisa Mincy. She is a female character in Genshin Impact. Her weapon is a catalyst, and her element is electro. Lisa's birthday is June 9th, and her constellation is Tempest Fugit. Lisa's nation is Mondstadt. Lisa has an affiliation with the Knights of Eronius and once had an affiliation with Sumeru Academia. Lisa's special dish is Mysterious Bolognese, a variant of the Flaming Red Bolognese. Lisa became a playable character on September 28th, 2020. Lisa's voice actors are Mara Junin in English, Keijan in Chinese, Rai Tanaka, which you may know as Shiny Luminous from Pretty Sure, in Japanese, and Park Go-woon in Korean. Lisa goes by two titles, Witch of the Purple Rose and the Librarian. Lisa has fair skin, green eyes, and wavy light honey brown hair, which is tied in a loose side ponytail. She wears a purple and white dress with open slits at the sides and gold embroidery, along with gold-black gloves with pale purple trim, a large witch's hat, black lace stockings, and black high heels, and an earring is visible on one ear. She wears a gold necklace with her vision clapped to the collar of her dress. Reflecting her favorite flower, a motif of roses is presented throughout her outfit. These are a pale purple rose printed on her hat, and a similar one on the tie of her ponytail. Additionally, a large ornamental golden rose is attached to her belt at the hip. Her outfit, Purple Rose, is described to be a slim fit dress adorned with roses that display a young lady's elegance. Lisa is a proficient witch. As such, she enjoys everything related to the elements and items that would help her in her understanding of them. Despite her position as librarian, Lisa takes it somewhat haphazardly, as she appears to be very related bored dealing with the normal books, instead of preferring those in the restriction section. She still takes the job seriously nonetheless, as she will personally go out to collect books that are long overdue, but in a way that she can still enjoy the smaller things in life. Her haphazard, carefree personality comes from her vision. As well, the gods gave it to her, and she has stated with knowledge she wanted to learn. They did not tell her what the price was, and she began fearing the truth behind it. This is the turn caused her to become rather paranoid, and she left Sumeru out of fear that she was paying too high a price for knowledge, regarding herself to categorize and management of the library, usually referring to take any other duties. When Lisa becomes angered, the surrounding air near her becomes electrified, and due to her electro vision, depending on the severity of what has angered her, she can either be simply irritated or become incredibly scary. The latter also causing her to displace appropriate punishment. Lisa seems to be very flirtish and charming, as she often refers to the traveler as cutie, darling, and sometimes honey. Regardless of their gender and considering albedo to be good for the eyes, she enjoys tea and always causing ensure that she has an afternoon, along with vegetable soup. She also suffers from cupophobia, which is the fear of pumpkins. Lightning Touch is Lisa's normal attack. The normal attack can perform up to 4 electro attacks, dealing electro damage, while the charge attack consumes a certain amount of stamina to deal electro damage after a short casting time. And the plumbing attack gathers up all the might of electro. Lisa plunges towards the ground for mid-air, damaging all opponents in her path, dealing AoE electric damage upon impact with the ground. Violet Arc is Lisa's elemental skill. It channels the power of lightning to sweep the bottomsome matters away. If you press release a humming lightning orb on the hit, it deals electric damage and applies a stack of a constructed status max 3 strikes to opponents in the small AoE. Using hold after an extended casting time, Chain calls down lightning from the heavens, dealing massive electro damage to all nearby opponents. Deals great amounts of extra damage to opponents based on the number of constructed strikes applied to them and clears in the constructed status. Lightning Rose is Lisa's elemental burst. It summons a lightning rose that unleashes powerful lightning bolts, launching surrounding opponents and dealing electric damage. The Lightning Rose will consistently limit lightning to knock back opponents and deal electro damage for so long as it persists. Induce Aftershock is Lisa's first Elaration passive skill. It hits by charge attacks, applied Violet Arc's constructed status to opponents. Static Electricity Field is Lisa's 4th Elaration passive skill. Opponents that are hit by Lightning Rose have their DEAF decrease by 15% for 10 seconds. And General Pharmaceutics is Lisa's utility passive skill. When Lisa crafts a potion, she has a 20% chance to refund 1 current count of the material out of all of the crafting materials used. The Librarian of the Knights of Favonius. In addition to her elegance and charm, Lisa is highly educated. She is said to have been one of the most talented sorcerers to study at the Shumera Academia in the last 2 centuries. It is known that Lisa chose to return to Mondstadt after 2 years of advanced study in Shumera, but the reason for her decision is not. Lisa is tasked with managing and maintaining the vast collection of books in the Knights of Favonius library, as well as ensuring that their power potions are always fully stocked. The only time that the citizens of Mondstadt see Lisa is when lending or returning library books. In both scenarios, they tend to encounter Lisa sitting at the counter like a languid cat, yawning as she signs books in and out. At times, her behavior causes people to doubt whether she is really up to the task of being the librarian of the illustrious Knights of Favonius. Nevertheless, it appears that she performs every task flawlessly, and as work consistently stands up in scrutiny. The fact that Cyrus of the Shumera Academia frequently refers to Lisa as their best student in 200 years is all that's need to be said about Lisa's accomplishments in her studies. From outlandish forbidden knowledge to handling of elementally infused flora to the most efficient methods of distilling wine, where there is a body of knowledge, the chances are that Lisa is acquired with it. This, paired with her ability to explain things clearly and consistently, makes Lisa the suitable person to approach young knights and alchemists with young burning questions. This is proof they go and see her at the acceptable hour. to visit during unacceptable hours, such as the morning while Lisa is sleeping in or in the afternoon while she's enjoying her tea, can spell disaster for unsuspecting visitors. When people meet Lisa for the first time, they are often find themselves overawed by the famous alumnus of Sumeru academia. However, though her attitude to life may appear at first to be one of the ruthless, effective, it is in fact better to understood as a product for her incorrigibly lazy nature, which drives her to avoid troublesome issues at all costs. By negotiating with Kaya, she offloaded the job of restocking and dispensing the medication to Huffman and Swan, and had Flora start sending Dorna over to deliver herbs on a daily basis. The only tasks Lisa handles personally are the categorization and management of books and other documents. This is the one area where Lisa feels more comfortable handling the work herself rather than delegating it. When Lisa first joined the Knights of Favonius, the Grand Master sought to appoint her as captain of the 8th Company. This was much to a consideration of the company's field officer, Nif, who resented the idea of the alchemist coming into such a high-ranking position. At Kaya's suggestion, a practice combat session was arranged in which Lisa and Nif were both displayed their magical proficiency. 2 minutes into the lesson, Lisa gradually declined the capabilities on the grounds. Nif ministry possesses the critic ability to fulfill the role. For the whole year following, the Grandmaster received a constant stream of refusal letters from Nymph in resolution to the captaincy, and the only person ever in them was Lisa Minchie. Eventually, the Grandmaster began turning over the referral letters to Lisa directly, but every time Lisa would come up with an excuse to decline the offer, undoubtedly the 8th Company would have been far stronger under her lead. But she deemed that such a level of power was not only superficial to requirements, it would also be risky for her in a way that most people could never accept. To be clear, Lisa is quite confident that she could handle any situation she came to come against. However, additional dangers means additional workload, and that is something that she would never be able to accept. Having personally witnessed waving mad scholars in the forest of Shimaru, and powerful sages sitting on days as councils, Lisa realized that uninhabited equation can really do to a person. It seems such a high price to pay. However, much did one have to sacrifice to attain the professional knowledge at all. Put off all this realization, Lisa decided to leave Shimaru. Since then, Lisa has always stepped short of taking things too seriously. Before determining too many miracles from the gods, first consider if you were willing to pay the price that you asked. These words was spoken to just 3 people since arriving in Mondstadt. In each case, it was because she knew it was what they needed to hear. The special heating cauldron is a pursuit-built cauldron made to design that no one in Mondstadt could understand. It features time delay heating, semi-automated ingredients incineration, and temperature reducing functions. Lisa spent an enormous budget and comprehended the alchemy workshop for 4 weeks in order to build this extraordinary piece of equipment. She boasts that the cauldron is capable of completing any precision heating task to perfection, with a maximum of just 2 pulls of a lever. But her most common activation for it is to brew tea and keep it at an optimal temperature while she is managing her books. After all, a relaxing afternoon tea session is by far the most important part of Lisa's day. A vision is a sign from the gods, a sign that you are one of those whom they have chosen to present this world. Or maybe it's just one of many hoops that only one has jumped through on the path of unearthing the secrets of magecraft. After all, understanding the elements is essential to the study of magic. And presential experience is a far more useful means of acquiring the understanding than trying to assimilate the knowledge contained in dusty old books. I suppose I shall need a vision then. And just like that, as the thought popped in her mind, her vision popped into her hand. With an aid of her vision, Lisa acquired the knowledge that she sought, but she also sensed the deep secret hidden in the shadows of that knowledge. For however reasons, the gods gave to humans the key to changing everything, but they did not explain the cost involved. Lisa grew fearful of the truth. The vision that hung on her neck became her bottomless pit filled with sweet delights layering at the back of her mind. So from time to time, when somebody who she finds interesting comes along, Lisa will pass on to them her understandings of all kinds of matters. Perhaps she secretly is hoping that by doing so, one day someone will come along who has the ability to understand the ultimate truth about visions. Lisa's name means God's promise. The name Lisa comes from the English origin and is short for the Hebrew name Elizabeth, where the meaning of Lisa's name, God's promise, comes from her last name, Michi, comes from the Latin word Dominicus, meaning belonging to the Lord God, or from Dominus, meaning Lord or Master. The name was given considerably in praise by the flame of Spanish Saint Dominicus, who founded the Dominican order of monks along the name was established. Tempus fugit is Latin for time flies. Fact 1. She is Razor's teacher in utilizing electro powers and taught him how to make Mondstadt hash brown. Fact 2. Lisa and Fischl share the same Korean voice actress, which is Park Oh-woon. Fact 3. NPCs that mention Lisa are, besides daytime dialogue, mentioning Lisa and her reputation at Shimura Academia. Fact 4. Frustrating that the mention Lisa is Knight of the Party Pumpkins warns the reader against inviting a certain member of the Knights of Erronius when the lantern is installed, in reference to her dislike of pumpkins. And so we have come to the close on Lisa's information. As a matter of fact, I love to read too, like to go to public library maybe when COVID is not around. Though I wonder what my public library will be like with someone that is like Lisa. I wonder. Well, I guess I have to be more quick on reading to make sure I have got the stuff for the library back on its due date. Like, I have read Stephen King's It, and it was not expecting the book to be so big. It took me like 3 months to finish it. Anyways, next time we'll bring overly exhausted but still feeling fine, as it doesn't matter, but different from being lazy. It will be taking about the midnight Noel. See you next time.